Hi, I'm Christine Cushing, and welcome to the Quarantine Kitchen, where we make fun, easy, feel-good recipes. Today is a super special day because I got, let's say, challenged to make one of the most classical Italian dishes ever, spaghetti alla matriciana. Let's get ready. There's so much to discuss. This is dedicated to our friends in Italy who've been going through a tough time. This recipe is all you need to feel fantastic, and I want to do it justice. So andiamo. First thing I want to do is get the guanciale, which are pork cheeks cured, not bacon, not pancetta. I want to get that sliced and in the pan. So this is the guanciale. It is known with this beautiful little thin stripe of meat in the middle and fat on either side. That's how you can tell right off the bat that it's not pancetta. Pancetta is the opposite. So I've just trimmed some of the outer fat where the seasoning is, where it's yellow. And now we're gonna do some beautiful slices. I want to do it about, let's say, half an inch thick. Oh yeah. That's looking beauty. And now the traditional way is to slice. I'm going to stack them and just slice in strips. In the center, you're going to get longer ones. Oh, look at that. That's what we're talking about. Amatriciana coming up. I'm getting my pan hot. Couple of housekeeping tips. Right now, pasta water is on to boil in the back, and I have a nice little saute pan here where the magic is gonna happen. Okay, I'm going over medium heat, and I wanna show you again this amazing guanciale. So that is all gonna go into a hot pan, well, warm pan, and we're gonna render and get a little color on that. And then we can talk all about this extraordinary recipe. So let's get a little bit of heat. So spaghetti, which I am making, not bucatini, spaghetti alla matriciana is a recipe that to me forms that trinity of the most favorite Roman pastas, along with carbonara and cacio e pepe. Now, here's the thing. This pasta alla matriciana is actually not Roman. It comes from a town called Amatrice, which is close by, maybe a couple hours away. So as the recipe traveled, it morphed a little bit, and there's a couple of things that are so fascinating and unique about this recipe that I love it. Can I just tell you right now, the smell of that guanciale is ridiculous. So 100% for this recipe, there are no substitutions. I'm really here to tell you because my reputation is totally on the line here. I want to do this recipe justice. So there's no pancetta, there's no smoked bacon, none of that. Guanciale is the only thing that you're going to use to make pasta alla matriciana. And bucatini actually is how the Romans like it, but in Amatrice it was always spaghetti. So we are going to go with spaghetti, the real deal. Let's see what's happening in the pan. We're starting to sizzle. Baby, we're starting to sizzle. So step one, you notice there's no oil in there. Step one is just to get these a little bit translucent. You're going to see that they're going to start looking like little shiny jewels of guanciale. There's no smoke on this. This is just a cured, in the category of a salumi. So this is probably aged generally 3 to 4 months. And every region has its own spice blend they put on it, but it's so popular in Italy, and that's why I really wanted to make sure I got great quality guanciale. Okay, so that is looking really fantastic. Let's talk about what else goes in this dish, and more importantly, what doesn't go in the dish. So, tomatoes. These are tomatoes that are going in. I want to make sure that I bought beautiful tomatoes. These happen to be plum tomatoes in a can, but look at how soft they are. Do you see that? Just with a spoon, they break because we are not in a fresh tomato season. Look at that. So these are San Marzano tomatoes, region again in the south of Italy. But how can you tell a great tomato? Okay, you're at home going, I want to get a great tomato. How do I know it's great? This tomato out of the can, what I usually do, I'm going to turn down this temperature until it's like medium to medium low. I just literally take my spoon, open the can, and what do? I taste it, just like this. If that tastes like a fresh tomato, has a little bit of acidity, a little sweetness, it's perfect, very tender. Now these ones don't have any salt in the can, so they're not going to be fully rounded in flavor, but I already know that that's a good tomato. Don't bother using those plum tomatoes that look like, bullets that have no flavor whatsoever. They look like cucumbers more than tomatoes. Okay, let's look at the pan. Is it ready for the next phase? Here I want to be very, very conscientious. I want to render a little bit of this fat just to give them some texture, but I don't want it to be crispy like bacon, okay? So I am applying a little bit of precision here, keeping my eye on it. This should take probably, 5 to 8 minutes, but really depends on the size of your pan, depends on all those things. The aroma is so, so, so wonderful. Now, one interesting thing to note about this recipe also, for me, I've had many cacio e pepes, many carbonaras in Italy, in the specific region. I don't know that I had an amatriciana in Italy. So for me, making this, I was just, mind was blown. I can see why people really are so passionate about these recipes. And I think the whole purpose of this too is that we are now one world, recipes and information travel, but these classic, beautiful recipes from 300 years ago, for me, it's so important to be passing them down. This recipe was started by shepherds, so shepherds in that region. If you know anything about the central part of Italy where Amatrice is, it's mountainous and pork rules there. So the shepherds, as they would walk with their flocks, with their sheep, they would have a little pork jowl with them, they would have some pecorino, and apparently that's how this recipe started. Extremely simple. So there's no tweezers, there's no fancy equipment here. This is a simple, all about the ingredients dish. The end. So I'm smelling. I actually don't smell with my ears, I smell with my nose. This is looking right on the money. I'm making 2 portions. I've tested this several times so that it's perfect for you. And will give you the full recipe obviously below. But let's have a look here and see what's happening in the pan. Is it on the money? It's pretty much on the money. I would say this is the time that I want to increase my heat just slightly. And at this point, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of vino bianco, a little bit of white wine. So much controversy about, is there white wine, is there not? All of this to me is so fascinating. But I look at the reason, why would I put white wine in here? The only fat, you'll notice, no olive oil has gone in here. So the pasta is going to be cooked in the pork fat. So to counter that, a little bit of acidity from the white wine is like a perfect, just a cleanser for the palate. So a little bit of white wine going in. Look at those beautiful bits of guanciale. Just a couple of minutes. This part is super key. What I want to do is reduce that to almost like a syrup and kind of cook off all of the alcohol here. So really all that you're left with is the fruitiness and that little acidity, that cleanse that the white wine is going to give, which is a perfect contrast to the pork. Again, to go back to what makes recipes so great and, why were they the way they are, is because it's the region. Sometimes when you go to a place, you understand fully why that recipe existed in the way that it did. I'm not even gonna lie. Aroma off the charts. Okay, we talked about tomato. We talked about guanciale and not pancetta or bacon. Now let's talk about, oh, the last thing I want to add in here is actually a little peperoncino or a pepper. This is not supposed to be spicy, this dish. So really, I just want to add a little bit to kind of round out the flavor. I add it, again, depending on how you like it, but just a little sprinkle of hot pepper, whatever you have, but not too much. All right, that's what I'm looking for. You see how it's down to a glaze? Now we're gonna do some tomato squeezing. Just with my hands, I'm gonna break up these tomatoes. Beautiful, tender, look at those. They break just with your hands. Don't need to apply any pressure. And now temperature down. And a little cleaning as I go. It is incredible how tomatoes, guanciale, and really that's all that's in there now. Tomatoes and guanciale, a little bit of white wine can smell so incredibly beautiful. So for me now, again, this really exemplifies and embodies the whole idea of an Italian sauce. First of all, Italians don't want tons of sauce on their pasta. It's just really going to enrobe it and kind of cuddle it. It's not meant to be swimming in the sauce. And also, this is a super quick cooking tomato sauce. So you want great quality tomatoes so that you have a beautiful balance. Look, there's no place to hide here, right? You got everything you need and nothing to really bring it anywhere else except these ingredients. This is probably going to be 8 or so minutes to cook down. 5 minutes into the sauce, my pasta water is boiling. I'm going to give it a nice handful of salt. Always more than you think. And I'm making 2 portions of spaghetti. It's going to go in. And pretty soon, woohoo! All right, we are seconds away from everything coming together magically. Look at the bubbling pot, that's looking great. The one thing I want to do is just taste. You see how it's reduced down? Seasoning is right on the money, just a touch more salt. I don't want to go too much because the guanciale, I'm also anticipating the pecorino, which we did not discuss. So, pecorino is the next ingredient that is so critical to this. This is a little pecorino. You see how it's a bit soft? And that's the one that you are really ideally want to use. Not necessarily pecorino romano, but pecorino from Amatrice, which is a little bit more delicate, milder. But whatever pecorino you can find that is not sawdust, please. Not that stuff that's already pre-shredded in the grocery store, which I have no idea what it is. All right, my ears are telling me it's time. So guess what's happening now? Sauce is looking good. Pasta is gonna say buongiorno, ciao to the sauce right in. I'm turning this super, super low. Did I mention I'm making 2 portions? And I'm making a mess because this recipe needs to be made a mess of. Now, one little trick, and this is common obviously everywhere in Italy, is using the pasta water just as a little kind of adjust the texture of the sauce. So just a couple of spoons, not more than that, because this is a much drier sauce. Now we're shimmying. We're doing a little dance. Imagine Sophia Loren, imagine Rome, sitting in a piazza and ordering this beautiful pasta. Oh, come on. What do we say? A little bit. Just getting this to the right texture. I like it to take a last little boil in here, just to kind of adjust the consistency of everything. And then I'm gonna taste the pasta before I serve it up. A little bit of a high boil there. And what I want to do now is I want to add the pecorino, and look at how beautifully it's grated, right? When you grate your own pecorino, you really get a much better consistency, and you know what flavor you're getting. And you know, different kinds of pecorino, there's like a million of them, so maybe in your local store you can find a milder one. Oh, it looks good. So I have a little taste in the pot. How Italian of that would that be? I'm going to do it. Breaking tradition here. Oh boy, we're going in. That is good. That is so good. Pecorino, I'm going to save a little for the top. Now it's off the heat. And always with Italian pastas, you're anticipating the final texture of it. It will absorb some moisture as it just sits. Not for too long, because this is going to hit the plate faster than you can say andiamo. That is a thing of absolute beauty. So good, my mouth is watering already. Okay, so now it's gonna hit the plate. This is really a half-hour deal. The whole pasta comes together in a half an hour. Guarda che bellissimo, look at that. Okay, that is what I'm talking about. So, who wants a plate? I would say that guanciale is perfectly cooked. And now you can see the sauce is just enrobed. It's not swimming in the sauce. This is for two. I don't know if this is going to be for one, but a little of that beautiful guanciale on top. How about that? Look at how that looks. Let's go with a bit more, just some cracked black pepper, a little bit, teeny bit, and just a touch more pecorino on top. And I'm telling you right now, any Italian from even the region of Rome, from Amatrice, I think would love this pasta. I'm going to taste it for you. Yes? The longest twirl in the history. Oh, look at how al dente it is. You can see it, perfectly cooked. It's magical. Believe me when I say, you are gonna lose your mind over this spaghetti alla matriciana. I got an idea. Hop on your Vespa, come over to our place. I got a whole bowl of this ready for you to go. It's a thing of beauty. Thank you so much for the request for the challenge. I was up for it. Hope everybody's doing well. Please thumbs up, share. Let's spread good news, connect over food. This recipe was so fantastic for me to make, and really it helps us all connect around the world. See you next time in the quarantine kitchen. Send me a challenge. Who knows? I might be making it.